baby and ran upstairs, locking herself in the bedroom. She claimed she was protecting him from seeing his mother and father inflict cruelty upon animals. This happened over half a year ago, and we went no contact with her for 3 months. Over the next 3 months we slowly allowed contact with her under the sole condition that she no longer try to pull any vegan nonsense around our baby or try to push her vegan lifestyle onto us. We told her that if she crosses this boundary one more time we will permanently cut contact with her. My mother agreed to this verbal contract, and for a while I saw progress. My husband saw it too, and we actually became on neutral terms, I would even say. Well, due to the vast improvements in her behavior, my husband and I decided to trust her. 2 weeks ago, a family emergency came up for my husband and we had to drive a couple of states over. We had no time to find a babysitter, and so my husband and I made the decision for my mother to babysit. We contacted her and she was delighted to have him for the whole day. We reminded her of the rules, and we broke down some very simple, but absolutely clear guidelines with my son. We told her that under no circumstances was my son allowed to eat vegan food. Before she could even ask why, my husband and I informed her that we recently went to get some allergy tests done, and the doctors told us that there is a slim chance our son has a soy allergy. I even brought over all the food necessary to feed my son, and told her to stick to these foods only. She agreed and we left. I had a slightly uneasy feeling as I left, but my husband told me to remain calm and urged me to trust her. I had a gut instinct, however, a gut instinct that told me not to do this, that handing my son to my crazy vegan mother will come back to bite me in the butt. Despite my intuition, I left my son with my mother and my husband and I drove off. If only I could take it back. Many hours later, my husband and I were driving home. We had about 2 hours left of the drive. That's when I got a call from my mother. She was sobbing inconsolably and her speech was incoherent. She told me that my baby was in the ambulance on his way to the hospital. I asked her immediately what happened, and the first thing she said was not to get mad at her. She went on to say that she had fed our son tofu. My stomach churned in that moment. I was silent for a second before screaming at her. I told her my husband and I had informed her strictly not to feed our son any vegan foods and let her know the reason. She apologized and said she figured a little tofu would do no harm. She went on to say that our son's throat had swelled immediately after she gave it to him and it looked like he was having trouble breathing. She called the ambulance immediately and thank God they came on time and were able to literally save his life by giving him CPR. My husband and I sped the car up and what was supposed to be an almost 2-hour drive to the hospital took us 1 hour and 15. We rushed into the hospital to find my mother sitting there waiting for us. She tried to apologize and all I could say to her was, "You are dead to me," and told her to get out of the hospital and that I never wanted to see her again. Thankfully my baby boy was okay and we were discharged a few hours later. The doctors gave us clear guidelines as to what procedures to follow when we were home. I stayed up all night making sure my son was okay and I am happy to report he was fine by the morning. The next morning I texted the entire family group chat, including extended relatives, informing everything my mother had done. I told them that I am going no contact with her, and informed everyone that if they try to talk to me about the situation and pry for more details I will cut them off too. The response was overwhelmingly positive. I of course blocked my mother's phone number and socials so she has no way to contact me. My sister tried convincing me to talk to her so I blocked her too. In the family group chat, however, my mother was getting berated and slandered so much she actually left the group without saying a word. My husband and I also had a long talk and are seriously considering pressing charges.